Welcome back, everyone. Another episode of Coffee with the Commish All-Star Edition. Started out the weekend, had a perfect bracket on Friday in the Rising Stars tournament. Came back yesterday with my guy Jones and had a pretty good day. We both nailed Mac McClung winning the dunk contest at plus money. We had some nice plus money hits on the three-point contest. We had two of the three finalists in that contest. So it's been a fun weekend overall. Have a few guests joining us today. I'm going to bring them on now. We have Liam Picks Fights joining the show. We have my man PropGod, and then of course we have to have Jones back after the great information that he's had the last couple of days. So welcome these guys to the show. We're going to be talking All-Star Game stuff tonight. Obviously the rosters are not picked yet, so we're going to focus on the total. We're going to look at some props, just some general injury news, need to know information before the game. But welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Yo, what's good, man? I've been missing action last couple of days. Y'all been killing it though.
Appreciate it, dude. Well, we got you here now, so now's your time to shine, Prop.
Yes, sir.
Well, guys, sharp collection of talent right here. Liam, primarily a UFC guy, another +5 unit day yesterday on his event. Jones and Prop, MLB and NBA specialist to do some NFL stuff too. Jones had a nice college basketball hit today in our Discord. But coming at you guys, just really looking at the All-Star game. It's a fun event. It's not anything to bet 50 units on, or like if you see any Max Will plays, anything like that, run the opposite direction. But if you guys want some fun money, we're going to share some injury news, share some of our thoughts on the player prop market. Right now, Team Giannis is +2.5. The total on this game is fluctuated a little bit between 323 and 326.5. There's really no good rhyme or reason to any of it because the teams are not selected yet. They're going to be drafted at 7:30, about an hour before tip-off. But guys, why don't we just start first? Like anything that you've picked up in the news this week that has you leaning one way or the other on a total or on the total of this game or anything like that. Last few years, it's gone under this market number. But of course, we have a couple of guys out tonight with Durant not playing in the game. Steph Curry's not playing. Zion's obviously not playing. Jaylen Brown is questionable. Embiid and Giannis are both questionable. So let's go Jones, Prop, and then Liam. Anything that you guys have picked up on in the news this week that might be noteworthy?
I mean, for me, I really can't speak on like a total side of things just because I'm a player prop guy. So, but as far as, I mean, pretty much with the information that you just, laid out with Durant being out and a lot of key players that, star players that can just score the ball. I mean, I'd almost just based off of that have to lean the under here, even though it's All-Star game. These guys are talented. They can score at will at the end of the day. So personally, I'd have to go probably the under. Pretty high numbers. So.
Under. Prop, what do you think? You going with Jones or you going the opposite direction on the total?
I don't do too many totals, but if I had a side on a total, I would go with the under just because the recent history is there and on top of the injuries, like you guys mentioned. So, I mean, 300, what is it, 323.5? It's just
323.5. Liam just saw a line before we jumped on the show as high as 327.5. So if you want the under, Liam, what book was that on? The 327?
It's one of the worst sports books out there, in my personal opinion. But if you guys have access to Ballybet, they just have a complete misprice in terms of their number relative to the rest of the market. Seems like most of the market is coalesced around 23.5, and you're seeing them hang just a complete outlier in -110 either direction on the 27. So, I think that's just a misprice, and you can find an opportunity to middle if that's what you're looking to do. But certainly, you have opportunities there when they're just way off market.
Well, Liam, what do you think? Are you rolling with Jones and Prop, or do you have a different thought on the total?
So, I mean, just my initial impression, right, as a guy who's not a huge NBA guy, I'm like, wow, that's a ton of points to score in a basketball game of any kind. But, theoretically, not a lot of defense going to be played. A lot of bets coming in on the over. I'd be curious to find out what this total opened at. I know in recent years, the game's been going under. Lifetime, if you just look, I think over the last 17 games, it's gone over the total in 11 out of 17. So, like the long view, it's kind of been an overs game, and that's probably how they trap people year after year on the over.
Yeah.
And it's been going under in the modern era. Also, you got to think about the proliferation of sports betting. It's not the same market that it used to be. Now, a lot more people have access. And think about the average public bettor. Do they love hammering the under? No. So it's going to be a more public bet on the over. But the one thing I would caution people is, what was a really public bet this year? The over on the Super Bowl, and it fucking cashed by $1 million. So you guys got to be careful when you just think about, the market consideration here. It's a spectator event, and they're trying to compete for entertainment dollars and attention dollars on television. So if they put on a game that's a complete stinker, none of the stars play, nobody's there, they all have injuries, and nobody has any motivation, it's going to be bad for the NBA's product. So I would not be surprised if they were like, guys, go out there, don't play defense, have fun, score as many points as you can, and just keep putting the ball in shooters' hands. And it's a fun event. Like we mentioned, this isn't really about competition. They're picking the team right now. They don't even know who's on their team right now. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to be paying attention to the market for the sides, but the total, as a gut level, narrative-based better, I would think that the over is very likely here. So what I would want to do tactically is to get a good over price, because we talked about this on the Super Bowl markets as well, Commish. If you just think about, what's the easiest way I could get to this? I go slam the first over I find. It's over 27, and now I'm cooked. Okay, that's a really dumb bet. But if I go find the 123 that's left on the market, when a lot of places have moved to 23 and a hook, when a lot of places have moved to 24, when Pinnacle, one of the sharpest sports books out there, is at 25 juice to the under, they might be telling you this game lands 23-24 at a decent clip. So if you want the over, get the over 23 at Caesars at -110, and don't deal with the hook and don't deal with the 24 and the 25. And if you can't get that, maybe lay off. But I think that it could go over the opening total. It could go over the lower totals here and then land somewhere in this range. Oftentimes you see that the totals they set for these games are pretty close to accurate. And when they're not, they tend to go over by a lot.
Yeah. So a couple of interesting notes on that, because you mentioned you'd like to see what the line opened at. It did open at 318.5, was pretty aggressively moved.
What does that look like, boys? Strength to the... But that means that right now, if you're watching this right now, you don't have a 318 to go bet on. So now people are going to get barbecued at the end because sharps already took the good numbers at the beginning. So you got to always think about where you're at in the market. Context is everything. And the sharp play was obviously over 318. But where is the point of diminishing returns? That's the question you got to ask yourself.
Yeah, I think it's a
the
really
main thing is. Oh, well, go ahead, Commish.
I was just gonna say, so it opened 318.5. It went pretty quickly up to 321, pretty quickly up to 323. Looking at scores and odds, just looking at their line movement tracker here, and I know if people have different sources for that. Went as high as 326. It looks like on a consensus line, and then it's back down to 323 right now, which may be due to the injury news that we talked about with Embiid and with Giannis not knowing how much they're going to play. And obviously those are two of the most skilled offensive players in the game. But for me, it's I think people are looking at the recency bias of this. And one thing that is important to note is the NBA changed the format of the All-Star game a few years ago. So they used to play just 4 quarters, 4 normal 12-minute timed quarters. They don't do that anymore. It's now 3 timed quarters. And then that 4th quarter in tribute to Kobe Bryant is played to a target score. So whichever team is leading, they can only score 24 points in that 4th quarter, which puts a cap on the amount of points that can be scored in that period, obviously. So what we saw last year, 320 points. We saw a 157, 155 game in 2020, and then a 178, 164 game in 2019. For me, so really what you're betting here is are we going to have a really high scoring first 3 quarters? Because there's not going to be a whole lot of variance potential in the 4th quarter. For me, I lean towards the over. There's really no good rhyme or reason for it, but we're playing in Salt Lake City, which people don't realize is playing at a very high altitude. These guys are clearly exhausted from the beginning of the regular season. What have we heard all weekend long? Load management, players getting chastised for not playing games. What do we have shortly before tip-off? We have guys literally questionable going into the All-Star game, a scrimmage. These guys just have to go out and get cardio, and they're still sitting here like, I don't know if I can show up tonight. For me, it's like I don't anticipate any defense. I think the altitude is going to make defense slightly more uncomfortable to play tonight, which is going to make it all the more unlikely that we see any of it. And we have a couple of decent reserves in this game that I think are just eager to get buckets, right? We have Anthony Edwards who got added, De'Aaron Fox, Damian Lillard, Paul George. Like these are just straight bucket getters, and there's not a whole lot of defense on my mind tonight. Personally, I've given out the over at various prices and free stuff the last couple of days, but like Liam said, I've been waiting personally trying to get that best line ahead of tip off, but 323 I think might be my buy-in spot for just again some fun money. But Prop, what were you going to say a couple of minutes ago?
No, I was going to mention the Elam ending, but you covered it.
Cool. So yeah, just to recap on the totals, guys. Jones prop going under. Liam and I, a little bit of a split decision here, going with the over in this game. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I am curious, guys. There's tons of player props available for this event. DraftKings, FanDuel, MGM, all the major retail books. You don't necessarily need to see the rosters before you get a little bit of a gauge on, do I think this player is going to show up tonight? Anything that you guys have seen on those markets that looks appealing to you? There's tons of plus money stuff, especially with the reserves. If you're looking at guys like Siakam, De'Aaron Fox, Julius Randle, the Anthony Edwards, Sabonis's, those kind of guys. So let's go prop, and then we'll go Jones, and then Liam, if you guys have any thoughts on that market.
Yeah, two looks I like for some plus money. I took a little sprinkles at was I like Donovan Mitchell to get 25 points. It's plus 182 on FanDuel. Sprinkle on him to get 30 at plus 270. I mean, he's coming back to Utah. Last time he played at Utah this season, he dropped 46. He took 18 threes, and that was in a regular season game. So he's going to be firing tonight. Giannis is the all-time leading scorer in All-Star game history, averaging 29 points a game in his 6 appearances. His props are not on FanDuel, but if you go to DK, you can get Giannis to drop 30. That's sitting at, I just had it. Because I'm expecting Giannis to play.
It's plus 200. Plus 200.
Plus 200. I think Giannis drops 30.
You have any concerns with the wrist prop after he didn't participate last night?
Well,
or you think he's amping up for this game tonight? You think he just didn't want to mess around in that contest?
Yeah, it was about if he was going to participate in anything, then it would have been the main event. You know what I mean? So I think he gives it a go today. I just can't see him sitting out the All-Star game. That's just not who he is. I mean, he's an Iron Man, so I think he plays, and I think he dominates as always. I think he's averaging 29 points and 10 rebounds in the All-Star game. So with him, you don't really see him take nights off. So even when he plays in the All-Star game, he's still giving 100%. So
yeah. And just for some context on that prop, because that's a great stat. The next highest point per game averages in All-Star game history, Durant at 25 a game, who's obviously not on the floor tonight. LeBron at 22.9 a game, and Steph Curry at 22.5 a game. So, yeah, if there's someone who's taken this event seriously every single year, it's definitely been Giannis.
Yeah, so I like Giannis for 30 at plus 200, D Mitch for 25 at plus 182, and a little sprinkle on D Mitch for 30 at that plus 270. Those are my 3 looks, though.
Good stuff. Jones, what about you? The player prop aficionado, anything sticking out to you in this game?
Man, I mean, obviously everything looks good. It's like you look at these lines and you're like, damn, I wish I could get these lines in regular season because like, what is this? But obviously, it doesn't always work like that. I mean, for some reason, my gut's just been telling me that Ja's going to have like a monster game tonight. And I don't know why, but he has some pretty good value on him to get 20 points. He's at plus 400. I like Ja. We look at, Paul George. I mean, I wish they would let you do a same game parlay, because unlike FanDuel where you could take, 2 guys and, potentially get some plus money, but the
books are not letting you get away with that tonight, John. You'd be bankrupting them if they let you do the 10-point same game parlays on this spot.
I agree. I mean, it's kind of tough. There's some good spots. I mean, you got looking here, you got Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, and Luka all to score 15 points at minus 125 as like a little same game parlay on FanDuel. I know it's not plus money or anything, but that's still, it's possible, even though Luka isn't really, from the sounds of it, he's ready to be in Mexico. But he has a job to do. He knows that. So I guess it just depends. I mean, it's kind of tough gauging these things. I'd take a stab at probably Ja Morant 20 points at that at plus 400, and then even Tyrese Haliburton. I know this is an important game to him. It's his first All-Star appearance, so I'm sure anytime he touches the ball, he's going to shoot it. His 15
and we saw last night, Jones, he can shoot it, contrary to popular belief.
Yes, he can. And his 15 points is at plus 400, so I mean that's good value as well there.
Yeah, good stuff. I'll share my screen real quick just to show some people, because you mentioned the Paul George stats in this spot, and you can see in his All-Star game history, I'm pulling this from StatMuse, he's been pretty aggressive He all the way back to 2013. He's only had the one time where he attempted less than 13 field goals in this event. He attempted as many as 26 back in 2016. So that might be a guy looking at him coming off of the bench and thinking maybe running some high plus money on him. He's a guy that's not
15 is plus money, right?
He is
plus 142.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean that's ridiculous. Like
he's got that in every all 7 games, right?
Besides one, he had 12.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good one right there. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Jones,
he's plus 250 to score 20.
Even a guy like Shea
right now.
I think Shea could even have a big game today, man. Like,
know how he like to show up for the big moments with a nice little caption.
Oh yeah, like I think Shea. This is like a perfect type of game for Shea as well. And
there ain't no free throws in the All-Star game. He
yeah, exactly. It would have to be straight buckets. But I mean, even him, if you like, I mean, and I suggest sprinkle this, but you could take him and Paul George each to get 20 points. It's probably not going to happen, but I mean, plus 1,100, it's worth 0.1 unit, 0.10 unit. You know what I mean? Like I'll put $10 on that.
Yeah, man. And if you take them each individually, right, you get them at both at plus 250. You only need one of those to happen, and you're making a little bit of money. Liam, what about you? I know the NBA is not your main sport, but you're as good as anyone researching across the board when it comes to this betting stuff. Anything sticking out to you? Anything from a narrative perspective? I know we don't have to work very hard to get you to tell us some stories when we're looking at this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, from a narrative perspective, I actually think, I believe it was Prop that mentioned Donovan Mitchell kind of revenge game type scenario back at the scene of the crime in Utah. I think that the same thing could be said for Lauri Markkanen. He's day to day in terms of how he's listed from an injury standpoint. So that may temper expectations, but I believe he's plus 2,000, earlier today to win the MVP of this game. And it's like, in terms of guys with motivation to play, relatively close to home court, young guy, still got a lot to give in the league. He's 25 years of age, averaging 25 points a night at home, pretty consistent player, pretty reliable. In a game where we're talking about guys maybe not having the motivation, maybe not giving a shit about how they perform, one guy who's probably going to go out there and try to perform at plus 2,000, I don't think is the worst look. So basically, in terms of the futures market, that's kind of where I was looking. Plus 1,400 was Donovan Mitchell. Lauri Markkanen is plus 2,000, and then Shai is plus 2,000 as well in the futures markets for the All-Star MVP. And those are the kind of guys that would stand out to me as not very public names, not the names that are going to attract all the public attention, right in the middle of the list. I always try and look in the middle when there's these kind of futures markets, because oftentimes the winner's either going to be one of the top two, or it's going to be distributed somewhere in the middle. A lot of people will take the mid-range, the things that feel safer, plus 6, plus 7, plus 800. But oftentimes that's kind of no man's land. I like to look for long shots, and I think that those are 3 long shots that have a decent chance. Right in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting event. For me, I threw a little bit on Paul George to score 20 plus just because of the stuff that Jones mentioned, and then Prop was on board with it too. And I just thought, 2 sharp guys who bet on Paul George a lot during the regular season and the All-Star game. All the dude has to do is shoot probably mostly uncontested looks. So I like the Paul George 20 plus at plus 250. I think if you're looking elsewhere, Pascal Siakam, he's played in one All-Star game. He had 15 points. You can get him plus 250 to score just 15 in this game. And then I'm on board with Shai at 20 plus, also plus 250. And one of my favorites in the NBA, Anthony Edwards, to score 20 off the bench, plus 350. One stat that I did see, again, this isn't the most advanced analytics-driven event in the world, obviously, but I did think it was interesting. I saw Anthony Edwards has gone coast to coast this season 43 times, which ranks 4th in the NBA. And I've seen him just a number of times watching the Timberwolves play. If they don't stop the ball above the break, the dude he attacks the hole, which is not the most common thing in the NBA for whatever reason. But in a game like this, where defense is not going to be a high priority, if Anthony Edwards is on the floor for even 15 or 20 minutes, the ball's in his hands. He could have a layup probably anytime that he wanted to. And because he has shown that proclivity to go to the basket and to be aggressive in those types of situations, I don't think it would take much to see him get to 20. And he's just a fun player to watch too, right? That's a situation where a coach might even get caught up in the moment and they see him dropping buckets, and I like him. So those are my 4 spots that I've put very, very small amounts of money on. Paul George, 20 plus, Siakam, 15 plus, Anthony Edwards, 20 plus, and then SGA, 20 plus as well.
I think another, I just saw this on FanDuel. You could get plus money. I mean, it's a lot of threes to hit, but I mean, he took 9 of them in last All-Star game back in Utah. We talked about it with Donovan Mitchell. You get 5 plus threes at plus 124 on FanDuel. I mean, that's plus money. Guaranteed he shoots 10 plus tonight. Like, he's going to probably try to step over half court, take 2 dribbles, and just shoot. Damian Lillard has, obviously, at 5 threes, he's at minus 130, but I think the value is there with, Donovan Mitchell. He took 9, like I said, last year's All-Star game, so I couldn't talk anybody off of that.
Guys, let's shift to the MVP conversation in this one. We don't have they had lines up. They've taken the lines away. Again, probably related to the fact that we don't really know what is going up with Giannis and
They're on
Embiid.
DraftKings right
Still
now.
get them on Bet Rivers.
DraftKings did just put them up.
Yeah, DraftKings has them too.
And Bet Rivers as well.
I'm diving into that market as we speak.
They must be hiding them in Ohio. I am not seeing. I'm not seeing. Jones, what odds do you have for the MVP? Could you just give people a list?
You know where he's from, so they got nothing but time on their hands out there in that state.
Oh, man. Relax. All right, so, you got LeBron at plus 550, Damian Lillard at plus 650, Joel plus 700, Kyrie at plus 800, Luka plus 800, Jason Tatum plus 800, Donovan Mitchell plus 950.
You see that man at plus 1,000? Give it to me right now.
Giannis at plus 1,000, John Morant at 1,200 or plus 1,200, Jokic at plus 1,800, Shea at plus 2,200, Anthony Edwards plus 2,500, Markkanen plus 3,500, Paul George plus 4,000, De'Aaron Fox plus 4,500, Pascal plus 6,000, Randall plus 8,000. I mean,
You can start right there. The rest of the guys don't got a chance.
Yeah, it's just, the list goes on. It just gets crazier and crazier. The highest odds I'm seeing here are plus 15,000. So, and that's for DeMar DeRozan.
Good stuff. Appreciate you running through those, Jones. So, what do you guys think? MVP market
If
again?
Giannis plays plus 1,000, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you have to sprinkle on that. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean,
Do we have numbers on how often the team captain wins since they've implemented that format?
I don't know if it's happened. I can look into this really quick.
I think I was just looking at that yesterday.
It's a new format. Let me take while I'm looking that up. Any thoughts for you besides obviously I know you like Giannis in this spot. Any thoughts on the MVP? What guys that you might be targeting or guys that you would recommend people stay away from?
You see, with something like this, because LeBron's getting honored, right? I think like a narrative type thing would be that some of the guys would take the foot off the gas or whatever, or let him kind of pad the stat sheets to try to get an MVP. But some guys who won't care about that would be Dame at plus 650. Giannis doesn't give a damn about what LeBron got going on at plus 1,000. I don't see Luka trying like that today. Like Jones said, John Morant at plus 1,200 is possible, but he's made himself a villain right now. I don't see him getting MVP. I don't know, them guys. I don't know, man. I'm not here to talk about the Grizzlies, but it's just a little too much talking for me at this point. So he's talking me off of him. Mitchell at plus 950. He opened up at plus 1,200. So I think that drop is meaningful because people know it's a chance of him winning it, especially with him being in Utah, having success in that arena and wanting to put on a show. So I will look at, and I don't think he would care about LeBron winning it either. So I will look at Giannis is my favorite. Then I would go D Mitch and maybe look at Dame. Those would be my 3 guys. But I don't think LeBron wins it.
And Giannis has already won one. I want to say 2 years ago, he won MVP 2021.
Yeah, just from an outsider standpoint, I feel like LeBron is going to be the most public bet side this game for sure. And I would have to think that Giannis will be up there just because, like, if you just take the average casual consumer, they're going to go by name recognition. The two guys that are named like that have their name on the billboard, they're going to be first to click those names for sure. But I do find it interesting. I mean, at plus 1,000, there's probably some value to be had there on the Giannis side. But I also think to myself, like a bookmaker, I'm like, why would a bookmaker give me plus 1,000 on him? And I think that's probably because they have some information about a potential injury. But that's just pure speculation on my part. So take that for whatever it's worth. But that would be my only concern is if I ever see somebody who I think should be like plus 500 and he's plus 1,000, I'm like, what happened? So that's just my 2 cents as a outsider here.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think we're working with mostly speculation in an event like this, which again, just another reminder, do not bet the house on this stuff. Some of the other events in All-Star Weekend, like Jones and I were here with the Rising Stars tournament, with the All-Star Saturday events, you can get a little bit of a sharp angle. There's still very high variance events, but there's information that you can look at to see, okay, will this guy perform well in a 3-point contest? The dunk contest, you can have a little bit more of an educated opinion, right? Like Jericho Sims just had no business even being in that competition last night, let alone being bettable. You know what I mean? And
as we mentioned.
So stuff like that, like the events from the last few days, if you guys have tuned in, if you've made some money, please do not throw the same amount of money on anything that you're doing with the All-Star game. This is just a very, very high variance event. There are guys that might play 5 minutes tonight. Like, it would not be surprising at all for me to see Giannis come out, play 5 minutes, and then not play again. Same thing with Embiid. But it also wouldn't surprise me to see Giannis come out and, like Prop said, drop 30, right? There's the range of possible outcomes in an event like this is so stark. Just be careful. I think the one thing for me, I saw the press conference that Luka did a couple of days ago that Jones threw in our Discord. There's no chance I'm betting overs on anything regarding Luka. He's had 3 All-Star appearances. He's had exactly 8 points in each of those 3 All-Star appearances. And they asked him, what is he most looking forward to in his 4th appearance? And he said, on Sunday when I get to fly to Mexico after the game. So this dude is going to check out as early as he can. If the coach puts him in the game, it's going to be begrudgingly that you see him go to the scorer's table and tie up his shoes. So that's the main guy I'm staying away from. I'm probably not going to bet anybody on the MVP market tonight. It actually doesn't even look like I have the option right now on DraftKings. So I don't even know if I will be able to do this. Although I'm sure the lines will probably come up after these 2 teams get drafted. So that's my thoughts. Stay away from Luka. Trust the other guys on this panel when they're giving you some recommendations with the MVP stuff. Do you guys have any other thoughts? Any other thoughts in the game? Total, anything that you'd be looking for?
Are we going to talk about the point spread a little bit here? Because that's the one thing, just from an outsider standpoint, again, that I noticed about this game stood out to me right away. So right now, just looking at the public betting splits on VSIN, DraftKings, they've got 48% handle and 41% of the bets on Team Giannis plus 2.5. But, this was at plus 3. They're not getting a majority of the handle and they're moving the number. That's the old stroke of the chin there for Liam, sitting back going, why are they moving the number when they don't need to? Are they trying to get people to steam chase? Are they trying to entice people to be on that side? Or are they respecting the smaller amount of money that's coming the other way? I would lean towards the latter. I think that there's respect on that side. Now, the interesting thing is, why is there respectable money coming in on a side before the teams are announced? Y'all do with that what you will, but I just think it's interesting that the point spread is established and moving before we even know who's on each squad.
Yeah, I can't believe. I mean, you figure it's roughly a toss-up type of game, right? Last year, I know LeBron sort of ran away with it, but we've seen some relatively close games in recent years. 2006, there was a 2-point game in 2020 under the new format, 6-point game in 2008. So like, there's close games for sure. I don't know if there's any predictive value, right? Like, if you draft the most talented team, do you end up winning? I don't know, right? It's an event that I think definitely comes down to more motivation, who wants to win that MVP award, stuff like that. But
one thing, so just a discrepancy on these MVP. We were talking about MVP. They have Giannis at plus 500 to win MVP on Barstool, and it's plus 1,000 on DK. So I mean,
that makes me think Barstool's late to the party.
In the earlier article I was looking at too. So it seems like most places have been pricing him pretty consistently around the same number. And DraftKings, it's an interesting sports book because they attract the most casual customers for the most part. But they also have a pretty robust prop offering. Like they're one of the books that has really detailed prop offerings. They do correlated parlays and these kind of things. So it's one thing to keep in mind. They have a more sophisticated prop outfit than a lot of other places, but still, if they're just having a massive market misprice, I think something you could always take advantage of. Great call.
All I
mean,
know
if you rarely see $5 difference on a market of any kind. Futures market's a little bit more malleable. There's more hold baked in, but that's a huge discrepancy.
The only time I've seen a discrepancy like that I can remember, it was last year. DraftKings had put out a Tristan McKenzie outs recorded prop that was like I couldn't understand at all why it was different. Like everyone else had it at 17.5, over 17.5 juice, and I think Barstool had it at 16.5 at like even money or something, and we attacked it, and then Barstool immediately moved the line to like minus 150, then to minus 200, then it moved the number, and then it took the prop down completely, and McKenzie had an incredible day that day. And so I don't know, whenever I see DraftKings as the one book that's laying out, taking a risk, being the one book that has a different price, I'm always more inclined to think that Barstool is the sport that doesn't have access to the information that DraftKings and FanDuel and some of those other places have.
Yeah, DraftKings lets you play for a while, even if you're winning, and then they kick you out. Whereas Barstool, if you win twice, they're like, yeah, I don't know about this guy.
It's because they only have a 16-hour staff over at Barstool. They can't keep up with the line movement going on everywhere.
That's why I used to go to the casino at 2 a.m. You get a lot better customer service when nobody's there.
Kyrie Irving, 6+ assists at plus 136. I'm playing that right now. He's covered this number. And 4 straight and 5 out of his last 6 in the All-Star games, 12, 6, 9, 14, 5, and 14. So you're getting some double digit. Yep, there you go right there. I mean, he's averaging 9.1 assists per game in the All-Star. So I will be taking 6 assists at plus money. I think that's tremendous value.
Jones, can we ladder that?
Yeah, I think you can. Yep. I mean, you can play it up to 10 at plus 400. Yeah, at plus 400.
Plus 400?
Yeah, that's at 10. So, I mean, at 6, I got to play that. I'm actually about to lock that in right now. I mean, he's going to start 100%. And that's like on taking 10 plus, field goal attempts per game as well. I mean, he's taking 15, 12, 16, 12, 9, 17, 11. So he's getting the shots up, but he's also one of those guys that he's real flashy. He's going to cross over, give you some entertainment, and then throw an alley-oop to whoever, is out there playing with him. So at 6+ assists at plus money, that's probably be my play of the day for the All-Star game. That'd probably be like my best bet.
And I think that's the first we've heard anything about Kyrie Irving so far tonight. Any thoughts on him as a potential like dark horse MVP candidate?
Plus 1,100, I think that's great value too on MGM.
Number one, I haven't heard one single person mention it. Number two, he's been like the preeminent storyline in the last month in the NBA. Like his movement was the deciding factor for the futures markets and all these kind of things. Everything's going crazy with the movement of Kyrie Irving. So I think that, he could be an interesting sleeper candidate here. Haven't heard as much about him since he's arrived in Dallas. And, this could be a kind of coming out party for him. He's been stuck in the shadow of other players a lot of his career as well. You got a teammate here who doesn't really give a shit about the All-Star game. It's like maybe my chance to shine. Kyrie Irving, dark horse candidate.
And another thing is it's crazy because he's a guard, but All-Star game, it's a lot of running, gun, get the ball, outlet, go, fast-paced game, His 6+ rebounds is at plus 235. He's had 5, 9, 7, 7, 6 in his last 4 out of 5. So, even his 6 rebounds, worth a sprinkle as well. Dude's doing it all, but that assist at 6+ for plus 136 or whatever it is, I think that was, I'm playing that.
So, yeah, plus 136. I'm going to join you for a very, very small amount. I'm trying not to get over invested in the All-Star game. I think this is one of the dangers. You just keep talking about all these plays. And
the list getting longer and longer.
Happening. And
yeah,
the list getting long.
That one just kind of sold me. Like Liam said, it's just he's quiet. Nobody's really talking about him. And if there's anybody that has the ball in the string and has like an IQ of anybody better than anybody pretty much in the NBA, I think it's Kyrie Irving. And that he doesn't get enough credit for that either.
Yeah, it'll be interesting too to see how these teams shake out, because I like which team he ends up drafted to, because it's not like we have a bunch of Chris Pauls in this event, right? Like you look up and down these rosters, again, not knowing who's on which team yet, but you look at the guys that he could be playing with. you don't have a ton of guys that are like a ton of pass first
They're
options.
all stars, right? They're not. None of them are distributors first and foremost, except for maybe LeBron. But yeah, I agree with you.
And you look at Jokic, like it's an event that it just doesn't suit him well, right? Like I don't think Jokic knows how to play in an All-Star game. And you look at like Ja Morant, definitely a score first type of guy. Markkanen's not going to be facilitating the fast break. Same thing with like Jaren Jackson Jr. and some like Tatum, right? Like Tatum's a good, like all of these guys are good all around players, right? Like Liam just said, they're all stars. But could Kyrie Irving take on more of a facilitator role in this event? I would not be shocked. I would actually be very happy because I did just throw a couple of dollars on.
Yeah, I locked it in, man. I had to. I mean, you're giving me plus money at 6 assists for someone that averages almost double-digit assists in the All-Star game. I'll take it. I can just see it now. He's gonna be throwing like half-court alley-oops.
Good stuff. Well, guys, before this list grows too long, because again, I think if you sit here long enough, you'll end up somehow betting on everything in this game. Anything else? Like Jones, you mentioned Irving, the 6+ assists, probably your best bet if you're advising someone to just take the one play in this game. Prop, Liam, do you guys have one play that you're looking at that you would recommend to people if they're just throwing a few dollars at this game or trying to keep their card small?
Prop, why don't you go first? I got one, but I got to double check something.
If I had just one, then it would be. I like the I like the Donovan Mitchell for 25, just because it's unclear if Giannis is going to play, even though I believe he does. I like Donovan Mitchell to score 25 for the plus 182. That would be my favorite one. But if Giannis plays, then Giannis to score 30, I think was plus 200. If he plays, then take both, because I'm taking both. I already took, because that's the Giannis line is still available for me, so I took both.
Yeah, I think it's just more of a question of like how much is he going to play. I think it sounds like he will for sure suit up. Like he's obviously going to draft the team and all of that, but I think people just don't know, is he going to go out there and play his normal 25 or 30 minutes in a game like this? But I'm with you, dude. Like if he plays, he's one of the few guys that consistently takes this event serious year in and year out. So I think it's good value. Plus 200 for a guy who's averaging 29 in his career in this event. What about you, Liam?
Yeah, I think Jake actually may have just hit something pretty sharp in the comments. He said, I think Luka under points could be sharp. There's a boost on FanDuel for Dame, Donovan Mitchell, and Luka, each 15+ points. We talked about Luka maybe not having that motivation factor. The average FanDuel consumer who clicks on the boost might not know that, and they see 3 names of guys that are pretty consistent point scorers, and they're like, wow, I'm just going to hit this without overthinking it. I think that that could be a potential trap. So good call there, Jake. Haven't put any money on those props, but I just thought that was a good shout in the comments. Now, as far as what my best bet would be, listen, this one's a little bit tricky because the truth is we don't even know who the teams are, right? So I'm advocating a bet based on a blind inquiry just on the market, but Team Giannis at +3 just looks like a sharp play in the market. I don't look at things for who my favorite guy is and who I'd love to see if they do well. I just look at things as this is probably a plus EV bet long-term. There's a reason it doesn't exist anymore, right? There's a reason that it's been bet off the board. And so for me, if you find a stale +3 at -110, that's a great number. And the money line is actually a little bit public for the Giannis side as opposed to the LeBron side, but the spread is more public for the LeBron side. So I think that if you want to get the maximum win equity, then you take the Team Giannis +3. If you want to just sweat out the game, have fun, bet the underdog here. Because I don't think that Team LeBron is necessarily the sharp side. They've been pushing it all week. They're telling you Team LeBron is 5-0 straight up and they're 3-2 against the spread. Why do I know that? It's because they're marketing it to me. It's because they're selling me on this. I'm not a big NBA guy. So if I know that, everybody knows that. That's what you got to be worried about. If everybody knows, too many people know. So we talked about the Kyrie Irving, these kind of things. These stand out because not everybody's talking about it. That's a good idea. If you get on those long-term, you win. And I think that for me, +3, numbers been bet off the board. I think that that's probably the sharp side.
Great information as always. I think for me, it's another guy that no one's going to talk about. It's like no one wants to bet on Pascal Siakam in an all-star game, right? But someone's going to have to score points. We have a market total that is well north of 300. I think it'd be shocking if we somehow fell below 300 in this game. Pascal Siakam had 15 points in 18 minutes back in February 2020. I think if he sees any run tonight, he's going to have a pretty good shot at this. And just to get this at plus 250, I just the value. I don't know how you pass with the value in that spot. Again, just like a fun money stab, but he wasn't really a huge name back in 2020. This is a guy who's his brand has been growing consistently over the last couple of years, and he's gotten to this point where he's having another fantastic season. I know Toronto's underperformed to this point, but wouldn't be surprised to see him get more than 18 minutes his second go around in this game, especially if guys like Embiid and Giannis end up not playing a whole lot, if Luka's not on the floor for a majority of the minutes. And again, we won't know that until after they draft these teams in 45 minutes. So can't really apologize for not having more insight in this game. It just makes it really difficult when you're thinking about doing a live preview like this, just because what do you do? Like we don't have the rosters yet, but
I seen Jake down there said he laddered Kyrie's assist. So I went up to 8. I took it up to 8.
I took it to 10, Jones. You sounded
too
too confident.
All right, I'll join the. I'll go to 10 with you guys.
You can't let a man go alone there.
Yeah, I stopped at 8, but I'll go at 10. I mean, plus 400. Oh well, let's do it.
Squad ride on the Kyrie assist ladder. Let's fucking go.
Let's do it.
Squad ride. Well, guys, appreciate you joining. We don't want to keep everybody here too long with an All-Star game preview, but if you guys do have any questions after the rosters get announced here in about 45 or 50 minutes, all of our DMs are open. You can just reply on Twitter or in the comments of this YouTube section. We'll be hanging out. Happy to answer some questions. We also have a free Discord. Descriptions in the link below. We have a premium option as well, $10 option. Gets you access to just all of our beat writers, discussion channels, Q&A, stuff like that. And then the premium option gets access to all of our plays, write-ups, everything that you could want from these 4 guys up here, myself included. So appreciate everybody joining, everyone who is speaking here. Appreciate you guys coming on and making some time on your Sunday night. Everyone's social media information is in the description below. Please go support them, support their work. Follows are free. As we always like to say, subscribing to people's YouTube is free. Liam's got a YouTube channel and just continues to give out some bangers in the UFC. Has a bunch of sharp guests all the time. So
shout out Liam. I mentioned him yesterday on our show yesterday, and said if you guys were interested in UFC and didn't want to mess with anything All-Star event wise, this guy put some money in my pocket last night. That's all I'm gonna say. He put a nice, pretty penny in my pocket last night. So thank you, Liam. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Guys, I just want to mention, Commish was talking about our notes, our write-ups, things like that. I have one of the most extensive archives of notes among anybody that bets on or talks about the UFC. I'm quite confident in saying that. Over 300 fighter profiles and constantly growing, adding new fighters every week, constantly working on the notes. And I thought it paid dividends this weekend. We had not Aaron Blanchfield on the money line like a lot of people ended up taking, which was a fine bet, a great bet if you took it. But we took Aaron Blanchfield inside the distance at plus 310, absolutely crushed the line move, closed plus 250, plus 230 in other places. Same thing with Aaron Blanchfield and the under 2.5 rounds. Guys, when we took this on Bet Rivers, it was plus 540. It was already plus 310 on another service. So it's like, these kind of discrepancies are what I'm looking for. I'm looking for plus EV wagers on the right side. And if I can do that, I'm feeling good about it. So I appreciate the support. I appreciate the kind words. And you guys can always find my stuff, Liam Picks Fights, but all my information, first access, the notes, everything that you could possibly want, questions about the market, in-depth breakdowns each and every week in your inbox. No better place, the Lab VIP.
Cool. Well, appreciate you guys. Everyone, good luck on your action, whether you're with us or if you're on other stuff. If you're on other stuff, let us know in the comments so everyone else can learn and tail that stuff. So appreciate you tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll be back tomorrow with some more content. See everyone.